So I'm very aware of what our budget is.
I love PA. I invest in Western PA.
There's probably several things, right, where you could look at it and think, even though the properties might be listed at exactly the same price, like, wow, okay, this one's an incredible deal.
Greetings, well builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Diversified. Today, we have a fantastic guest. We have Mr. Aaron Yassin. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great, and it's great to be here, Mel. Really appreciate you having me on.
Okay, good, man. So I know Aaron well. We're part of a couple of groups, consortiums together. So community is the best remedy, and when you're looking to grow, looking to build, and looking to get diversified at the end of the day. So Aaron, man, why don't you share for the listeners, tell us a little bit about you, kind of where you hail from, and why real estate? Why now?
Great. That's a terrific way to kind of segue into who I am and what my background is. I'm going to start just briefly with where I am now and what I'm doing, and then I can talk a little bit about kind of how I got here.
Sure.
Although I know you like to keep this kind of nice and tight, so I'm going to just hit on the high points, and then we can dig into what makes the most sense. So
all good.
I am a partner in a business called Hive Developers, and we focus on ground up condominium development in Brooklyn, New York. And Hive has been around for a couple of years at this point. I have personally been involved in real estate for over 20 years, and I've done some different things in that time. I've had properties that I've rented. I have developed previously with a different partner, and then we rented that. So I've been a landlord for quite a while. I'm not a landlord anymore. Just made a strategic decision to get out of that. And also bought and sold some properties. Have done some regular renovations. So I've experienced on it some layered experience in real estate. I also have other. My background, to touch on that a little bit, which is important to the work I'm doing now, is actually in fine art and design and in architecture and architectural design. I went to art school for undergraduate school, and I also have a master's degree in fine art. So I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. I studied first at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, which also is one of the great architectural cities in the United States, certainly, and really on many levels, one of the great architectural cities in the world. So there's a lot of exposure there. And I learned a lot. I worked for an industrial designer while I was there, while I was really focusing on fine art, and really enjoyed the context in the city and that architectural history in the city. And a lot of my own fine art work has really been connected to architecture as well. So there's been a strong that's really been woven through the fabric of all the work that I've done. I did have, it wasn't exactly a W-2 job, but kind of a full-time position for about 15 years, where I was the studio director for an artist and designer, and we did a lot of design commissions and public art projects in that capacity. And there were really some pretty extraordinary projects that were done. And I really gained a lot of experience in that position. There were just a couple of us, and I really handled everything across the board, from pitching projects, negotiating projects, even negotiating contracts and terms for contracts, and then, getting involved in some of the design work for the projects, and then really spending a lot of time figuring out manufacturing and integration of those projects, and then the delivery, whatever it was that we were producing. And we worked with a long list of very high profile architects and industrial designers, and then also some municipal authorities. One of the largest projects was at the Miami International Airport that we worked on for quite a few years. We worked for Tiffany and Company for many years, delivering signature chandeliers and sconces that I really figured out how to not just working on the design and the development, because we started before there was nothing there. I figured out how to manufacture all of them also and deliver them to the stores. So there's a lot of experience that was it's pretty high level experience in terms of getting things built, things that never existed and no one had thought of before we started talking about them. So that really is. And then when I think about making something, a building is really, there's a kind of a creative process in making something. So, I in terms of how I, have merged into development, I have this passion for architecture, and it's building a building is like making something, creating something from, there's some parameters that are around it, but you're still making something kind of from nothing. And that's, the whole process that I like, and all the integration of it. And I also really like some of the other aspects to it, finding the site, negotiating, negotiating a purchase price, negotiating a contract, doing the underwriting, trying to figure out if it's going to work. It's a really big puzzle to put it all together to make it work. And I find all of it really exciting.
So it seems like, wow, architectural, fine arts, the passion, the tie into real estate, it's like it's in a big gumbo pot, and it's all coming together for you, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's a good...
It's coming together for you. It's kind of led you, seemed like, through the years to where you're at today, right? You're in development, right? You want to share a little bit about some things you have cooking in the kitchen from a development standpoint, and some of those wins you got in that area?
Absolutely. So we're currently working on two active projects. We have an 8-unit building and a 10-unit building. The 10-unit is definitely larger. We have larger apartments in that building. That one we've completed the demolition, and we're currently working on the foundation. So we've done all of the pre-construction and the pre-development work has been completed. All the plans have been approved, and we're working into the construction phase of the project now. Also, that's a syndicated project, so all the financing is in place, all the capital, all the equity is in place. So we're in good shape to move forward. We've just got to make some more headway in the construction, and the building will be going vertical within the next couple of months. The 8-unit building is much further along. We're fully topped out on that building. We have most of the framing, the interior framing has been completed, and we actually have some windows that I've ordered, triple pane UPVC windows from Europe, and they've arrived here in New York, and they should be delivered on Thursday. We're just waiting to get word that that's going to be confirmed. So that's going to be fantastic to get the windows in place. Very unique type of windows that are very uncommon in the market here, which we can talk about more, because I think they should be used pretty much on any project that anyone does. And also the price point is amazing. So those are coming this week. Very excited about it to get those installed. And then we'll have the building once they're installed, the building will be fully enclosed. And we're expecting to start showing the property in about 4 months at this point.
Okay.
So we're making some great progress there. We're working on the marketing also. I'm deep into the design process. I've been doing some of that today, finalizing specifications. Specifications, I don't want to be too jargonistic, but that's basically, you're picking out whatever you have, all the finish elements, all the finish materials in the building, and that's often referred to kind of in architecture and industrial design language as the specifications for things.
Specification.
The part numbers for your faucets and your shower fixtures, right? You're specifying what they are, and then you'll put those onto a list. And this is something anyone that's doing any kind of construction, even if it's a single family fix and flip, they are doing specification. They just might not know it or call it that.
But you're dealing with it.
Exactly. So we're kind of deep into that now, and it's actually can be much more complicated than one might think.
Okay, right. Well, let's you mentioned the notion of dealing with different types of specifications, right? Got to fit the right meaning, the right spec for the right intricacy within the building. So let's talk about some risks. Let's talk about some other hurdles, some things that keep you up at night in the grand scheme of this construction ecosystem, what you got going on. You want to kind of share what are some pain points you go through as a developer working on this project or even any other project? Just something to think about. Any thoughts?
that is a good question with a lot of layers to it, because again, since I'm wearing both hats, I'm the lead designer in finalizing all of the specifications, all of the interior finishes, even exterior finishes, and then I'm also an equity partner in the project, right?
Yes,
so yes. I'm, and as most people think about designers or artists, you're like, oh, I'm going to go get a designer, and then my budget's going to go up 10 times because they're going to pick, the most expensive things. Well, I'm wearing both hats, so I'm very aware of what our budget is, right? So this is part of the difference. But of course, I want to have the right types of things in the project as well.
Project, yeah.
So for example, I was going back and forth with our brokers today on the faucets and the shower fixtures. Really, and the question was, there's some fixtures made by Hansgrohe, which is a pretty well-known company. Probably a lot of listeners are familiar with it. It's a German company, but they're very well known in the market, and they have some shower fixtures that are a little less expensive. But, the selection within that range is limited. Then but comparable fixtures are mostly Chinese knockoffs. So the question is, do we go with a known brand, one that I would say people know, like, and trust, or do we get one that's not known? Like, for example, there's one, Misseno, right? Sounds Italian. It's not Italian.
Okay.
Right. They look pretty good, they don't look bad. I think that one sold at build.com. They don't have a website. I'm very concerned with customer service. There are some other companies out there that, have come into the market that do have some customer service. So this is really a question, like, what is it that we can afford that's relatively within the price point, and how should we think about the types of parts that we're getting? Not only from a buyer perspective in terms of, knowing what the brand is, but really, I'm also thinking about longevity. We're selling condos, sure. If they break in a couple of years, well, we're kind of out of it, but I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to say, okay, here, it's Hansgrohe, here's their website, here's their customer service number, they're going to pick up the phone. So that's important. So those are kind of, some of the issues that I'm thinking about on one hand. And then also, you're looking at, we're buying a lot of tile for the building, as you can imagine. We have tile public spaces. The bathrooms, of course, have a lot of tile in them. And, rather than going and looking at companies where you think the price is less, I'm going to go and look at things where I find things that I like. And it turns out that, I'm going to a tile manufacturer that has a huge showroom on Fifth Avenue in South Midtown Manhattan. It's an Italian, an Italian company. And most people might think, oh, you're going to go there, the price is going to be crazy. The price actually, in fact, is very reasonable for what I'm getting, because they're working with us, because they can sell certain tiles of a certain size that are much more expensive. But if I, and And I've told them, I said, look, I have a very tight budget on this project, and they're like, okay, no problem. If you get the standard sizes, in certain quantities, we can give you the lowest price point. And we're coming in at, well under $10 price per square foot for the tile.
Okay.
Which is, not a bad price.
Reasonable.
And they're Italian tiles getting shipped from Italy. And the company is also, they have a carbon neutral mission. So they will offset any carbon that they produce using carbon offsets, to achieve that carbon neutral status. And I love that. I love that about the company. And I really like their product also. So I'm just throwing out some of these things because this is a kind of thinking that really goes into the process of how you come up with something that isn't what people would expect, that can become something that's really at a higher level.
Diversification at its best to reach that high-end result in your cases.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, you can get something that's higher end. I mean, one myth that I really like to bust is people think that, if I'm going to talk about design, it means that, the dollar signs go up. That is absolutely not correct. You can spend an enormous amount of money on design and it can look absolute, or your specifications, your tiles, your fixtures, everything else, and it could look absolutely terrible, right? Or you could spend a lot less and put it together the right way and be very thoughtful about it, and it can look
perfect,
phenomenal,
amazing,
phenomenal. So it's not the money. It's not only the money that has to go into it.
Gotcha.
You got to have maybe a little flexibility with your budget, but with that, what I think is that small amount of flexibility, you will always get a return on investment within that small flexibility of, let's say, 10 to 15%, maybe more than you thought you would pay.
Got you. Okay. Let's even take it a step further. You're an award-winning designer. So does location matter when you're talking about this new build, the conceptualization of what you're looking to obtain to get that A+ project, that A+ look, which at the end of the day bring A+ profits, right? And that's what you want at the end of the day. Want to share some insights on that?
Absolutely. Of course, we all know the number one driver in real estate, right, is location. Well, you could say that, and I like that it's often said that way, location, because I think you can have several different locations that can all work, right?
Yes.
It's not necessarily going to be one. You have locations that can work on different levels, right? You can have a location that's the super premium location, and that's going to be one product that you want to tailor toward that location, and then you can have a couple of others. So even we're working in the same neighborhood. These two projects are in the same neighborhood in Brooklyn, but it's a very large neighborhood, and the expected exit kind of price per square foot, I would put the difference at 10 to 15%, just based on the location within the neighborhood. So, and that's something that we're factoring into what we're spending on certain elements in the building. I've got, for example, there's a fantastic local millwork shop that does amazing kitchens, and I'd really like to work with the owner, and I know he'd like to work with me. I had a conversation again with him today. He's lowered his price, and I've kind of told him this project is going to be a stretch because his cost is just going to be higher rather than going to a kitchen shop that works with more standard boxes where we can kind of upgrade, the cabinet doors and still get a really nice look. So I think that's likely where we're going to end up with for this project. But for the other project that will have a 10 to 15% higher exit value, we can spend a little bit more and it will make sense to do that. So those are the kinds of things that are important to kind of think about in understanding what should fit into your underwriting, and then how you can use that to sort of, drive that exit value. You get to the best result that you can get to, and then, try to kind of push that price.
Nice, nice. Let's talk about another thing, man. You appear to be very bullish on New York, right? So
I am pretty bullish on New York, and I know
hey,
in our space there's always a lot of discussion about where people are investing, and particularly a focus on regulation, right?
That's okay, but at the end of the day, you know your market better than most people, and the same goes for me. I love PA. I invest in Western PA,
Right.
and I love it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
You can make money in many different ways and many different facets, particularly if you know your market and you know your market well.
That's correct.
Why don't you share for the listeners why you're bullish on New York? Why
Yes.
that area?
Well,
And
I
what's some of the
would
behind
start
the
with
scenes
I would
for
start
that?
with exactly what you're talking about. That really understanding the market that you're working in is critical,
Critical.
right? And the more you can understand it, the better position you're going to be for success, right? Because you can have two seemingly identical properties, as you know very well, right?
Mhm.
And they might look the same to most people, but if you really understand some of the nuances of the market, you'll know which one you should pick.
Yep.
Because there will be
Absolutely.
certain factors. It might be a block. It might be some thing about the property that might appeal to kind of, buyer preferences. It might be the style of the property. There's probably several things, right? Where you could look at it and think, even though the properties might be listed at exactly the same price, like, wow, okay, this one's an incredible deal. I know this is going to be amazing. And you look at the other one and think, well, not bad, but not as good, right? And
That's
this is
good.
this is what you get when you really know your local market, right? So, okay, now let's step off from there. Why am I bullish on New York?
Yeah.
I think some of it is, more myths or news that I would like to or ideas that I would like to bust, right? I mean, there was a lot of discussion and there's been a lot of reporting. This is one, right? This two, that, a lot of wealthy New Yorkers moved out of the city during the pandemic and like all the money is fled, right? Specifically to South Florida or to other markets, other states where there's no state income tax and people are still talking about this, right? Well, it turns out there was an independent agency that did a study that was released about 2 weeks ago that during the pandemic, about 2,400 millionaires left New York, right? It's a pretty sizable number, right? That could be a lot of money. But it also turns out that since 2019, about 17,500 millionaires moved to New York.
Okay.
7 times the number of the millionaires that left the city.
So
right?
It seems like someone was trying to get a story, right? Given the amount of gone out.
I mean, even the New
versus
York
the amount
Post
came back in.
The New York Post has stopped doing these stories. I've seen them, but like earlier this year, like every week, there was a headline about how all the money's left New York and no one's coming back. And there was just, it was not true at all. They're just, catchy headlines that sell papers. We know that New York Post is like that. So this is one. The other one is that, and this is another study that when young people are graduating from college, it turns out that the number one place they want to move is New York. By and large, it's a very high percentage. They don't all do it, but if you ask them, something like 50% of college graduates say they'd like to move to New York. Of course, they're not all going to do it, but it's a huge number. So, and a lot of them are going to come to New York because there's great opportunity in the city. And there's also other great metrics that promote a really remarkable quality of life. And sure, some people will talk about, well, the city's so expensive, it's not affordable. It's going to make it, it's difficult for people to live in the city. And certainly, there are some challenges, but a lot of recent college graduates that are moving to the city are definitely better positioned to get jobs which are available that are higher paying jobs.
Okay.
So those are a couple of the reasons why I'm definitely bullish on New York. And from an investment standpoint, just like a lot of other places around the country, there is a huge demand. this huge demand for housing and this huge demand for certain types of housing, which is...
And it's not like folks are going to stop coming to New York City anyway. Even the tourism is always, I mean, that's another opportunity, right?
There's that. I mean, there's a variety of there's a variety of factors that will continue to put pressure on housing and at certain segments within the market, and those are things that are really worthwhile to look at, because it breaks down. It's kind of microscopic how it's breaking down in terms of layers in the market, because there's many different segments in the market, and then those segments also segment into different locations, different neighborhoods within the city, because you can look at the housing stock within a certain micro market, right?
Yep.
And then look at the stratification of the kind of housing stock you have within that market, because it's not all going to be the same. And this is something that's very different in New York than in your market as well, than in some, let's say, some suburban markets where you have a lot of houses that are all a similar size, and maybe they vary a little bit, but the price point's going to be fairly similar. We have very dense neighborhoods, and you've got a range of incomes within some of those neighborhoods that's remarkable, right? You can have people with very low incomes and people with very high incomes.
So diversification is best, right? Even within the rural.
It is. It's actually crazy. I mean, I think New York City is the only place where people will spend $10 million or more basically to live right next to a highway. I mean, it's the West Side Highway, so it means their apartment has amazing views across the river. So you get that, but it's still basically right on a highway, Yeah. So
to some people, a view is everything, right? I guess.
I like a view, actually. So.
Okay. Views
definitely drive value. No question about it.
Understood. Well, man, this has been fantastic insights into the discovery within New York City, right? The intricacies within New York, and just from a end-to-end design architectural tie-in as well. So fantastic insights you provided. Let's close it.
What I would add, just one more point in thinking about that, because I think we've touched on some really key points, right? Really understanding your local market, right? Understanding the product that you're trying to get to, and really dig into those things. So, I mean, I know a lot of your listeners are probably looking at single family or fix and flip and maybe small multifamilies, and those are all absolutely critical factors in looking at those properties. But from there, then in thinking about what the work is that they're going to do to add value, and to do it in the most thoughtful way, and to take some time and really think through how that can be done thoughtfully. So I would recommend a couple of things. In any market that you go to, right, there will be other people that have already come into that market and renovated properties.
Yeah,
look at all those properties, right? Look at now we can get almost all the photographs of any new property that's sold online. See what's sold. See what's sold better. How were the properties renovated? How were they finished? Start to get some ideas, of what you can do, and, collect them, right?
Yep.
Collect them into a digital folder. And I would actually recommend to people that are working on, their plan to renovate a property, print them out, put them up on a wall. Like I've got some renderings behind me here of the properties I'm working on. You can do the same thing with a fix and flip. Look at the spaces, look at the fixtures you're going to buy, look at the cabinets, look at the colors, think about the colors of it, print it all out, put it all together, and start thinking through, what that's going to look like. And if you feel like you can't do it all yourself, you might just get a local designer to provide some design consultation. And then if you just start that process, I guarantee you're going to get to a much better outcome. And that outcome is also going to produce a much higher return.
Returns. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? We want favorable returns, right? We want
favorable returns. But what I would also say is that when you do that and you get to that point, you're going to get a more favorable return, and you're going to be really happy with what you've done. But whoever either rents or buys your property is also going to be much happier.
Indeed.
Because they're going to get a product that they're really happy with. right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a home that they love, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I pay a little
Dream.
more for that.
Yeah, indeed.
And that's what you're going to give someone.
Gotcha. Good stuff, man. Let's close on this respective question. There's listeners out there. They're wanting to get into real estate. They're thinking about development, kind of figure out what way is the right way. They're rookies. What would you tell a rookie who's looking to get into it and try to figure it out? What advice would you give them?
To get into ground up development, you mean?
Ground up development. Where should they start?
Where should they start? Well, I think that it definitely helps to get some experience in real estate. So certainly, starting with doing a value add project would be a great place to start, right? You're not going to deal with a lot of the issues that you have starting with a foundation, which definitely presents a certain level of risk. So get some understanding of what, the whole arc of the process is. And while you're doing it, you don't have to wait. While you're doing it, get into it, start doing it, and then go look around for some people that you could partner with that have other skill sets. One of my partners at Hive is a general contractor. He deals with all the issues with the foundation. He's got foundation guys that he works with, and he understands how to do a foundation in New York City, which is very complicated. He's done it a lot, right? He's comfortable with it. He knows what the risks are. So I want that person as my partner, because that's not my, I've done a lot of work, obviously things that I've talked about, but that's not my skill set. So gain experience, gain valuable experience, and start also networking and talking to other people. Throw it out there, go to local networking events and talk to people that are doing it and say, hey, I'd really like to get into that. Is that something you might think about partnering with someone on at some point? And then, say, even if it's not, like, that's exciting, I love what you're doing, can I come visit your project? Will you show me what you're doing? You'll learn a lot. And then you'll get further down the road in thinking about that as a process.
It's an aspect of marketing, right? The best form of marketing is word of mouth.
Yes, exactly. And then, really, if you're talking to enough people, at some point, like, they might have a partner that then starts doing something else, and they might need someone else that they can partner with. You could be just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it happens that way. So remember, if you want, this business of real estate, if you want to go ahead and alone, that's fine, but you may walk as fast as a turtle, right? But if you partner, network, collaborate, you can really come out the gates and really sprint down the track at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And just to focus on that, the right place at the right time for a second, I mean, there are a lot of people talk about that, like, oh, I was in the right place at the right time. Well, you create opportunities where you can be in the right place at the right time. And if you network enough, you might have 5 opportunities that might be the right place at the right time. And then chances are one of them will actually move into something else.
Fruition. Yeah. Wow. Look, on that note, Aaron, that's fantastic, man. I mean, look, putting yourself in the right place at the right time, being open to humility to be able to network, to communicate. Hey, curiosity leaves clues, right? Ask questions. Being
Absolutely.
in the right place.
Look, anyone who's listening to this should feel like that, they can reach out to me, send me a message. You can easily get in touch with me. I mean, the place you're probably going to ask, but you can come and check out what we're doing and go to designdrivesvalue.com. So we have a free ebook at that dedicated URL, designdrivesvalue.com. And from there, you'll get to our website, and you can, all my contact information is there. Download the book. That's very helpful. And then you can feel free to get in touch, and I'd be happy to talk to anyone that has any questions.
There you go, Aaron. You took the word right out of my mouth, man. Thanks for sharing your information. We will be sure to put your contact information in the show notes. And man, look, it's been a fantastic interview. Glad to understand, a little bit more about your intel and your thinking in terms of the design phase, how you think about things, and the inner workings from a arts design aspect of things, man. So we appreciate you being on the show, man. Myself, my wife Jackie, and members of the Moreland Equity team, Thanks for being on the show, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Mel. Really exciting to be here. And I appreciate your time and you having me.
You got it, buddy.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.